After several delays, the Electricity Regulation Amendment Bill has now been tabled in Parliament. This bill is said to be vital in tackling the country's ongoing energy crisis. It will allow a competitive electricity trading market and will allow for multiple electricity generators outside of Eskom. But could the bill be processed through Parliament before the end of the current administration? Let's discuss this now with Zet Luzipo, chairperson of the Mineral Resources and Energy Portfolio Committee. Good afternoon, Mhlekazi. Thank you for joining us this afternoon on Today. The last time we spoke, we did not even know when you were going to see this bill in front of you. You were hoping it will be sooner than later. That has happened. That signals a little bit of progress.
Good afternoon to you, Braden, and the viewership of your big station. Yes, we can say that we can confirm that in terms of the ATC, the bill has been referred to the Portfolio Committee, and most definitely as the Portfolio Committee, we have got a duty and the responsibility to kickstart the processes that we are required to do. But we may have to do some of those simultaneously. Under normal circumstances, you will put the bill and then invite the department. The department will make presentation, will determine the cause to follow, what is called the notion of desirability. Then we'll start to kickstart the processes of public hearing. But we may have now to consider that whilst we send for written submissions, whilst we are still inviting the department, other processes must kickstart. Or to put it simple, the entire process of public participation might be taken simultaneously. Instead of starting with written submissions, giving notice to, for instance, it may have, if it has to be to consult with the National House of Traditional Leaders, we may have to do all those things at the same time because of the nature that we understand with regards to the challenges of electricity that the country is faced with.
Now, if you succeed to make these processes run concurrently, do you think you will deliver in terms of making sure that this bill comes through parliamentary processes before the end of its term? I mean, after all, we are heading towards elections in 2024, though we're still waiting for the date of those elections.
We will do our ultimate best, obviously, and I'm sure when we meet tomorrow to deal with another bill, because you'll recall that we're still dealing with the Upstream Petroleum Resources Development Bill, but obviously we'll have to outline to the Portfolio Committee what are we suggesting should be the process to be followed. As we do this, remember the fact that it passes from the Portfolio Committee on Mineral Resources and Energy, it still has to go through the National Assembly. When it is through the National Assembly, it will then have to be referred to the National Council of Provinces. So whatever we do, trying to speed up that process, we must also take into consideration that there's a second house that is also, in my view, will be expected to follow almost the same procedure that we have followed in terms of public consultation and public participation. So yes, we will do our level best. If it means we must make more sacrifices, I'm sure my members have demonstrated. I always say it's one of the best teams to work with. As you know now, we are from Northwest and Gauteng. We are back tomorrow in Cape Town. We are doing our work. So I hope they will still be having that spirit of making sure that we do all that is the best. One thing I must say as a last point on this one is that this should not send a signal that we are going to do a whitewash, just ticking the boxes. You must understand that electricity is a very contentious issue. We will have to take into consideration how contentious it is, whilst on the other side, we make it a point that the necessary speed is also undertaken.
Yeah, I don't know how much influence you will have in terms of public hearings. For example, you explained to us recently when we spoke to you here on Today that you can't not have public hearings across the provinces, for example, to make sure that every voice that has an interest in this electricity matter is heard. Is there any way, while you are running them concurrently, that you could expedite the public hearings as well, or influence them to be expedited without rushing the process, but to make sure that everybody concurrently contributes?
That is why I said one of the things that definitely may be compelled to do is not to follow the normal procedure, but still be effective. So that is exactly what I think we will finally agree on. No, there's no doubt that public hearings will have to take place, whether they are tedious or what. We have accepted that we are public representatives, and at the end of the day, when South Africa calls upon us, we must also demonstrate that we are up to that task. So we will do everything possible, balance the demand, at the same time balance the fairness of the process.
Yeah, you've been on record in media saying that you anticipate a lot of engagement, robust engagements around this, and that the hearings might be likely politicized, because part of this bill is addressing the unbundling of Eskom, and some members of society, including opposition parties, seem to think this means the privatization of Eskom.
One thing that for me it's just a call and a request and an appeal is that we can't, let's at times we must accept reality. Stating the fact does not necessarily mean that you are pessimistic or what. The truth of the matter is that we'll be dealing and running with this bill just on the eve of the general elections, and the potential of that not focusing on the real task at hand. And I just wish and hope that all of us as South Africans will commit to make sure that we don't dilute that process of public hearings and other things with the political challenges. But yes, as we have said, we will do our level best. And there's nothing wrong. South Africans must accept this thing. There's nothing wrong to differ, even ideological. There's nothing wrong. We must accept that we come from different political backgrounds. The question is the manner. I always say you can say what you want to say as long as you respect the next person who has got a different views to you. So that is not wrong, even if that is being used. All what I'm saying is that the political tensions that we usually have as a result of general elections, we just appeal and request that they should not be brought into this process.
Okay, final question, and if you may be brief, Mhlegazi, what happens if after everything you've said does not really produce any results? Does this bill get moved forward to the next administration, or does it get canned and a new bill has to be developed? Oh, he froze there. I just wanted to know what's going to happen next if they don't meet the deadline. Oh, are you there? Are you there? Sorry. Okay, I don't know if I can hear you. Are you there, Mhlegazi? I missed you there. You froze for a while. Yeah. So what happens if you don't succeed? Does the bill have to be redrafted from scratch?
If the bill does not go through the NCOP, then according to the rules and to my knowledge, that bill then ceases to exist. It lapses. It can be revived by the next administration, and that next administration, unfortunately, may have to follow the same route of public hearings, except if there is consensus that it was done at this stage. The only thing that we have to push is that it must pass in the NCOP. It can then sit at the office, in the office of the presidency. The president will be, depending, even if it's the next administration, may refer the bill back if he or she feels that there are certain processes that were not followed, i.e., if there was no proper public consultation or there was no consultation commonly with the National House of Traditional and Khoisan people. So in that regard, yes, we are correct. The bill lapses and ceases to be a bill. It can be revived by the next administration.
Thank you very much, Mhlegazi. That's Zet Luzipo, the chairperson of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Mineral Resources and Energy.